Greetings and welcome to Converging Streams, Interfaith Fellowship in Our Modern World. Our program is a production of the Muncie Interfaith Fellowship and the Unitarian Universalist Church of Muncie. This week's lesson is entitled Interfaith Tolerance as Expressed in the Garden of Ruth, Part 1 of 2.
Hello, and welcome to Converging Streams. This is George Wolfe, and today we're very pleased to have with us, via telephone, an author who has recently published a book that's gotten a great deal of attention. Her name is Eva Etzioni-Halevy, and she is from Israel. And the book she has written is entitled The Garden of Ruth. It is published by Plume, which is a division of Penguin Books. And Eva, we're very happy to have you with us today.
Hello, I'm so glad to be on your show.
I don't know if you know, but Converging Streams is a show which explores interfaith dialogue and common themes between the great world religions. And it has been ongoing for a couple of years now. We often interview people on the show, as well as contribute our own little mini sermons, which become part of the 15-minute broadcast. I contribute to the show quite frequently, but also Thomas Perchlik, who is the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church in Muncie, also has contributed to the show. Within the Muncie Interfaith Fellowship, we have people who represent the Islamic tradition, the Hindu tradition, Buddhist tradition, Christian, Jewish, Baha'i, Native American, and humanist tradition as well. And so we get together for interfaith dialogue once a month, usually the last Monday evening of each month, and we choose a topic which people in the group are interested in, and we also have interfaith services once a month, and we have interfaith community dinners about 2 or 3 times a year whenever an appropriate occasion arises.
Yes, that's
and
wonderful.
Your book seems to address certain themes which are important to that subject.
Yes, absolutely. It's a biblical novel. It's based on the biblical book of Ruth. And one of the major themes in this biblical book and further developed in my novel is, in fact, this theme of interfaith tolerance. Should I sort of expand on this a little bit, on the story and what it means?
Yes, I would like you to do that, because in Muncie, Indiana, where this show is being broadcast from, a few years ago we had a controversy over the National Day of Prayer, and there was a lot of uncomfortable feelings that came to the surface regarding some religious traditions within our community. And one reason why we have an interfaith dialogue group, the Muncie Interfaith Fellowship, and one reason why we've developed this radio program is to help educate people so that they can become more appreciative of teachings that are in religious traditions other than their own. So feel free to go ahead and take off on that and explain how your book would help us further that cause.
Yeah, well, first of all, of course, it's a very important cause. There's no question about that in this world which is so full of hatred. And we need more understanding and more love between the different groups and faiths. And the Bible, of course, is at the basis of the Old Testament, at the basis of different faiths, different traditions. So it's a unifying factor. Also, the book of Ruth in particular is the story of a woman who was a Moabite, and she accompanied her mother-in-law to the land of Israel, And there she married a man, and she became the great-grandmother of glorious King David, who is considered to be the most glorious king of Israel, who is also considered to be an ancestor of Jesus, so he's very important for different faiths. And the main message of tolerance there is that Ruth, although she was a foreigner, she was accepted and loved, and in fact, she became the great-grandmother of King David, which means that the fact that he was descended from a foreigner didn't debar him, didn't prevent him from becoming such a glorious king.
That's fascinating. I suspect that not many people realize that one of King David's grandparents was not Jewish.
His great-grandmother was not Jewish, and I think that's very important to realize. Although she converted in her heart, there's never any real ritual of conversion, so it's a matter of interpretation, but I think it's very important to realize how open-minded the Bible is with respect to this converging of streams, as you may say, in the ancestry of King David.
And you seem to say it has something to say about interfaith marriage as well.
Well, exactly. She married Ruth, who was a Moabite, of course, married an Israelite, and the Bible does not come out against it, and this takes up a very important theme in the Bible, and it is that the Bible, the Old Testament, is not, in fact, worried about interfaith marriage unless it threatens the Israelites with extinction.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is incredibly important to realize how open-minded and open sort of the Bible is with respect to other faiths. Although it's a book written so many thousands of years ago and by many people, and there's not just one voice in it, but there's a very clear and strong voice, which is a voice of tolerance and acceptance and honoring and other people with other faiths, not trying to convert others, equality before the law for strangers and citizens alike, no racism, people being judged by their own, by their deeds and not by their descent, not by their color, and also the fact that love the stranger, not only accept the stranger, not only equality of strangers, but also loving the stranger, accepting him as part of your own family, so that they won't be a stranger anymore. I think those are very important themes in the Bible, and there are also themes in my book, The Garden of Ruth. Although I also have to say that it's a novel. It's a novel for light entertainment, primarily for people to enjoy, for sort of a book that one would want to read for simple reading pleasure, to take on a vacation, to take on a plane. It has a gripping plot, a mystery story in it, like a little bit of a detective story, all this sort of thing, a biblical detective story.
Mm-hmm.
But it has this theme of interfaith tolerance in it, and you have to go underneath the top level and the most superficial way of reading it to find it, but it's definitely there. And I think it should make a difference in the world today if we look at things in this way.
Sure. I know we say in the Interfaith Fellowship here that it's possible to appreciate another religious tradition without converting to it.
Exactly.
And
that's precisely the
with
idea of the novel, the idea of the also which we find in the Bible, and I think one of the important things that we learn from this is that embrace the stranger. If they want to join your religion, your faith, accept them, and if they do not, then respect them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's very important. An important message, particularly for a country like the United States, where there's so many groups and so many faiths and so many traditions. So I think the Garden of Ruth should work in well with your particular station's emphasis on this interfaith convergence.
The whole concept, I think, of racism is really something which didn't seem to exist back then. It seemed to be more a European invention in the 17 and 1800s as they got interested in the classification of different people.
Yeah, absolutely. You might think that interfaith that racism is really an ancient concept, but it's not so. It's a modern concept, unfortunately, as you said, and the idea of superior races and inferior races just didn't exist in the Bible. Mm-hmm. So it's a very interesting paradox that equality before the law, which some people might think is the pinnacle of modern democracy, is really found in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And racism, which people might think is ancient, is really a modern development. Yeah, it's just the opposite of what one might think.
We tend to impose our own modern-day understandings onto ancient times, and that doesn't really. Those assumptions aren't necessarily true.
Exactly, precisely.
Eva and George will resume their conversation on our next Converging Streams. While we look forward to that discussion, learn more about Eva Etzioni-Halevy and her book, The Garden of Ruth, by visiting her website, EvaEtzioni-Halevy.com. That's EvaEtzioni-Halevy.com. EvaEtzioni-Halevy.com. Thank you for listening to Converging Streams, Interfaith Fellowship in Our Modern World. Our program is a production of the Muncie Interfaith Fellowship, with content and financial support from the Unitarian Universalist Church of Muncie and technical support from radio stations WCRD and Work FM. Most importantly, we thank you, our listeners and followers, for your support. To connect with Converging Streams, including listening to our entire catalog of past programs, getting our latest new content, and making your own contribution to this program, visit our website, convergingstreams.org. Converging Streams is produced by Tony Piazza, George Wolfe, and Thomas Perchlik. Thank you for listening and have a pleasant week.